Not bad. We are live. All two of you. Great. I'm going to try to separate out if I can find the stupid menu here. We're going to keep the chat up. Welcome to Lights, Guys. It's going to be a lot of squinting in this show. And I'm going to try to keep that chat window handy and separate it so we can go back to it and keep track of what you guys are looking at. So here we have the sun, which currently is not showing a whole lot of detail. It happens. Having a little bit of trouble with the control systems. Sharp cap, there it is. So it's not wanting to see things. Doop, doop, doop. Makes it a lot easier on a presenter if you can find supported. My telescope is not my control. So what I'm going to have to do is go over to this thing and just quit out of it. I hate to restart the telescope because that's just asking for trouble. Yeah, it just doesn't want to give up. Yeah, one thing about displaying stuff in the sun, you can't see nothing. I think what I'm going to do is turn off the telescope and see if it doesn't want to reconnect. I'm going to skip the initialization. And then we're just going to go right to the sun. I'm going to set up solar tracking because it should be right there. That should track us. Oh, who knows? I don't want to go through the whole alignment again because it wastes everybody's time. So maybe now our little connectivity piece will figure things out. Can't find anything. Great. And as you can see, the sun is creeping out of our view, which we don't really want that to happen. Oh. Oop, wrong direction. Yeah, right now we're at what they call a solar minimum. And what that means is that basically there are no sunspots or anything to show. And I don't even have a good focuser running here. It's kind of hard to tell as the screen is all blatted out. That looks pretty good, but yeah, I'm gonna have to realign. I'm sorry about that, but it's kind of necessary. So bear with me, and you can watch the wonders of an alignment. Unplug that. Basically, alignment, you turn off the telescope and it does its little thing. And I'm going to try to leave the camera connected here so you guys can see what an alignment looks like from a telescope standpoint. Basically, it just resets its little brain and tries to get things in order. Oh, crash. But the trick is you have to unplug all the cables that you have connected. Otherwise, you get yourself all tangled up and it makes a complete mess. And basically the telescope, which I bet I'm not even sharing screen, so it won't matter. Go back to my Zoom session if I can find it. Can't find the mouse. We'll be back online in a sec. But if you can see this thing, which who knows, I can't see what you're seeing. I know. We'll go old school. There we go. So you can see the telescope is kind of situating itself around, spinning around. I was worried about the camera wire, and I don't have to. Throw that over there. And it's basically going to right itself to a known position. And it's going to try to settle on Venus. Well, that's not going to work. And then Vega, which we can't see in the daytime, especially with the solar filter on. We just got to go through these choices. So the alignment's failed, but it is, it knows where it's at because it's got a GPS built in. And we're just going to go to our favorite stars, the sun, and it's going to give me a nasty little warning saying, hey, make sure that you got protection. And then because it knows where it is on the planet, it'll point me at the sun, well, hopefully within reasonable distance of where we're going to end up. So I'm going to plug in the camera. Most people don't get to see this intricate workings here. Plug in the camera. I'm going to not worry about that right away. Power for the telescope. It does have a battery, and I don't mind it. Where did my focus wire go? There's one more wire here. There it is, laying on the ground. For our focuser, which is, I know it's in focus because we already used it, but we can reconnect it. So now, I'm going to turn the computer around so I don't have to face the sun. You know what? And you can see my mailman. Mailman Sue. Sue is the best mailman in Ypsilanti. Well, I guess mail lady it is. There. This is a little easy to see. You can see Sue working. So now I'm going to share my screen and we'll just go the whole thing. That way we won't have to worry about anything. Right, guys, okay, nobody's commenting on anything, that's fine. So now the trick is, we've just got to slew and find the sun. It's supposed to be pointing there, but it often isn't precise. Oh, it's not Sue today. Oh my God. Usually the alignment gets close, but it's not exact. And all you can do is slew around till you find it. Once upon a time, I used to look at the shadows, but it only works some of the time. I want to say the alignment on this one is always a little bit off to the left. Oh, is that something? The other trick we can do, I gotta move this window up. There we go. Is in the capture control, you can basically turn up the gain to insane levels. And for the sun, 155 is probably insane. And it'll appear very easily. You can see the shine before it gets to you. So if you're getting close, it allows you to hone in a little bit better. Which I appear not to be close at all. And I am going to go in the settings, make sure that I'm using a solar tracking rate instead of sidereal. The sidereal is basically with the Earth to the stars. The sun is closer, so the rate is slightly different. And in the display now, it says solar, which I'm sure you can't read. I'm going to go a little higher speed, see if we can't find this thing. The hand controllers are generally pretty good, but no telescope is good without alignment. And with the sun, there's not a good way to do a solar alignment. That's probably technically wrong, but oh, am I getting something there? Oops, wrong. And this is one of those times when whether you're on camera or on the eyepiece, it really doesn't matter. It's a difficult thing to aim, but once you find it, everything's cool. That's why I hated to realign, because the electronics weren't working, but if I can't work it from the computer, it's rather difficult. Now I do see some clouds rolling in, and for astronomers, that's kind of like the death knell, but for the visual stuff, or for the sun, I guess, the sun burns through an incredible amount of cloud cover. You'd be, I was viewing, it was sort of a, one of those clear, cloudy days or whatever, where you have, fair weather clouds coming through. And I was at my father-in-law's place up north, and saw something pass there. And a cloud passed in front, and all I noticed was it looked like there was a little bit of wisp of smoke. And when I looked up, it was a cloud covering the sun, where it was a shade for us, but for the cameras, they saw right through it. Oop. And even though I have the screen brightness turned up to like max, I can barely see the screen on this laptop, which doesn't have a real bright screen to begin with, but this just makes it worse. Dang. Well, when it comes, it's going to be painfully obvious. I might try one of my old shadow tricks. The tube of the telescope, when you have it aligned with the sun, it makes a nearly perfect circle on the ground, and you can usually get pretty close with that. Okay, faster rate. Go away, fly. I'm just looking at the display, and the display is not doing anything on this handset. And I don't quite understand why. Uh, no. Had to restart this thing again because there we go. Helps when the hand controller is actually moving stuff. It's 512. Wow, that's way too fast. Isn't this exciting? I'm glad you're spending the afternoon watching me push buttons. Yeah, I don't think I'm anywhere close. And now I have no shadows to work with either, which makes it extra fun. Oh, the joys of solar. Not that far off. Well, it's kind of disappointing. It's starting to reappear again. It's probably not good for my eyesight. Definitely burning a few holes in your retina. Do not ever look at the sun like I just did. It's behind clouds, which helps. So I'm just not seeing anything. So that was there. Here we're basically centering the shadow. Let's see if that isn't doing it. Did anybody see anything go by? What? Well, the good news is tonight, if it is cloudy, all the presenters are prepared to have cloudy weather stuff. So if they were doing live viewing, they've got stuff to show you. Oh, that's going to be close. Oh, great. Trees are pitching twigs at my telescope. Ugh, that's too fast. Solar's fun until it doesn't work, and then it's no fun at all. Hey, Dave. Good. Well, trying to. I can't seem to get it in the field. It's tough because you can't look at it through your finder scope. And with the camera and all that, it's. I mean, I got a filter on there, but. Christine said she was down here the other night. You were showing her some cool stuff. Yeah, she was out last night. I may have to go to the camera or the optics. I am just not finding it. It's because it's such minute movements. Probably. Oh, I already got it out. Yeah. Well, it's like every little thing. It's like it looks like it's pointed up right, but like who knows? There was a guy in the neighborhood. His name was Carl.
He had a big telescope on like a little thing he'd roll out.
Yeah, Carl's got a 14-inch.
He moved to Saline.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, bummer.
Well, he says there's too much ambient light here now. Too much light pollution in this area.
Yeah.
You know, you sit on your deck at night. I used to be able to leave my blinds down in my bedroom. You can't do that now because there's so much light coming from the golf course across the lake.
Well, that's what I mean. This setup that I got is kind of fun because I have to battle the light pollution that's here.
Yep.
And let's see. Let's go point it. And if you're going to look at anything remotely dark, you're kind of screwed. So I make adjustments for my technique for like taking short exposure stuff so that I don't gather a lot of that light pollution. But you have to collect thousands of images to get anything. So.
And so you just look at the regular stuff, you know, big stuff like the moon.
I can look at pretty much anything.
Saturn.
I've
Jupiter,
cut nebulas and galaxies, all that stuff, all the dim stuff. But you just have to, you kind of have to adjust your technique.
I remember you were out here one time and you were taking shots of the sunspots.
Yeah, I mean solar is fun, but it requires a certain amount of patience. And once you get it pointed and you get it tracking, then it's fine.
Oh, so once you get that shot on there and you say, okay, you lock it in, then it tracks with the movement of the Earth.
Well, that's what this thing is doing.
Yeah.
It has all the brains.
We were down by the bonfire I think it was Saturday, and we seen the satellite go by, but it was really, really bright, so I think it was the space station.
Yeah. You can see the space station with the naked eye go by.
Definitely.
It's a pretty impressive sight, really.
It moves pretty quick.
Yes, it does.
It comes from the I would say the southwest here.
Yep.
And tracks to the northeast.
It actually tracks different times during the day, week, whatever. It's on.
I've seen it one time before because Randy must have heard something on the radio. Or he got it out. And he says, "Oh, it's going to come across here."
There we go.
And I said to Christine, we was down there, I said, oh, that had to be the space station. It's too, you see satellites, and they're just like a star, like a bright light moving really quick. This thing was really big. And I always say, there was one time me, you, and Gretchen were down by the fire, and Gretchen was doing something, and me and you seen this shooting star that shot across the sky that was big, bigger than normal, right? Mm-hmm. And you looked at me, I looked at you, man, that was nice. It was like bluish green. And Gretchen, it was like the whale thing where someone looks away and the whale jumps and you miss it.
Yeah, I just saw a glimpse of the edge of the sun. It's like, where'd it go? It was just here.
Close.
I'm close. And well, it's like I'm doing this astronomy at the beach is going on right now.
Oh, nice.
And it's supposed to be I mean, because of COVID, it's had to go online. And
I mean, if kids turned on to astronomy, it's a pretty cool hobby.
It is. I mean, I won't kid it. You can, when you go to improve your equipment, you're always looking for the next best view or, there we go. There we go. A little
yeah, I mean, you got a nice little hobby, and
there. Now I can plug the camera in so like other people can see it. Yeah, well, I have a Zoom session going on where basically everything is Zoom.
Yeah, that's what Christine, she said she started asking you questions, and there were other people online or something, which is cool.
Okay, so that is supposedly in my field of view. Why ain't I seeing nothing? Huh. Well, that's weird. I'm close though. Yeah, Christine came by. I think she was seeing either Jupiter or Saturn.
Yeah.
But she hung around for 10 or 15 minutes, and
I was watching a hockey game, so that's why I tried to come down. I kind of like. I think astronomy is cool. Space science is cool.
oh. Well, I guess it would be good if my camera showed up. I got it all aligned, and now the camera isn't gonna. Yeah, that's gonna make for interesting imaging too. There we go. And do I have webcam? Yes, can't. What happened to my camera? It's not picking up the camera? Okay, time to exit out and restart the application because it's just being stupid.
How's Brexit? Doing okay?
Yeah, we're doing one of those Polish festival things, the drive up ones. There we go. And I have a chat thing. Yeah, clouds keep complicating. That's there we go. So now I do actually have the sun in view. Yay! And for those of you online, you've just met Finn. Oop. A little bit of high gain madness. We'll turn that down to nothing, or maybe a little bit.
Jeff, take care. I'll get it moving here.
Yeah, actually, if you want, I got a
Have a quick look.
yeah. Might as well while you're here. And
yeah.
that's the disk of the sun. It's a little difficult to adjust the settings given the light, but we got clouds going through too, which yeah.
Cool. Any sunspots?
Actually, no, right now. There's a guy that's running a presentation now. He's viewing the H alpha waves. It's a different wavelength. And it's very narrow, so you basically see all of the contours on the surface of the sun, the prominences that stick out, and all. So
cool.
That's the next thing on my wish list.
I read just recently about the planet Venus, saying that in the atmosphere there's a certain gas that there may be life there.
Yeah.
Microbic life.
I forget. It began with a P. But it was
cypherine or
phosphorine. Phosphine. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And they found significant quantities of it, but it was like 50 or 60 miles up in their atmosphere there. And they said the temperatures there were around 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is conducive to some kind of life form. Phosphine is one of those building block gases.
Sure.
So they didn't expect to find it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Finn, you ready?
Well, there we go. That's a lot more reasonable now.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah, there's no details to show, but
we'll say hi to Gretchen.
We'll do. But it's tracking now. Yay. Okay, let's go find our tabs. Welcome to solar astronomy. Well, I'm glad I got it the tracking and the computer is all situated now, because you notice that it's not bouncing all over the place and going all over. But I keep dipping down because the glasses are shaded and I can't see it as well. So I'm going to take my regular glasses off. So I'm going to be squinting at everything. But I was going to say there are ways to kind of get. Oh no! Come on, stupid thing. I'm going to try to resize that. Yeah, it happens. See, you can get into it and you can do this too. There we go. So I was going to say, sometimes I can play around with the, gain settings and other things. And I've taken pictures of the sun. Oh, this is zero gain. Play with the exposure time. And you can actually, if you get it, dark enough, or, play around with it, I found you can actually get some detail off of it. So yeah, tracking isn't perfect, but because I don't want to mess around with it, sun, we're just going to do a quick capture. And well, it's just like 2 minutes seems like a bit much. Solar, you don't have to do much, but these are big images, so we'll just start and give a quick capture like I had something to do. If the clouds keep rolling in the way they are, I might have to, I might not be able to do a live astronomy that's worth a heck. But we did take a bunch of images of Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Uranus, and well, almost Neptune and the moon. And the thought is like, if we can't do live, maybe we'll process those and show everybody how that works. So that's something a little different. You don't always see every day. Yes. Yeah, I used to use the cloud strategy, or the shadow on the ground strategy, for a long time, and it works pretty well. I had a Dob for a bit. With the motorized ones, they're a little better at finding where you are on the sky, but sometimes they're just not that good at it. I'm using an Ioptron AZ Mount Pro, and it's probably one of the top of the line alt-azimuth type mounts. It's not equatorial, and there's no polar alignment, which, if you saw my treescape here, you'll notice that there's a whole lot of stuff going on in the northern view that I have. So I get predominantly southern views, and mostly views that I'm going to get all the stuff in the southern sky. So right now the planets, excellent. I have a nice window. I only have one neighbor's tree that I have to work around. It works out pretty well. But for anything on the northern sky, I got tons of light pollution. Anything to the east, there's Detroit to contend with. Ann Arbor in the northwest kind of puts up its own glow. So I mainly have southwest, a little bit of west, and southern, maybe a little bit of southeast once in a while. But I have gotten targets that are, in that eastern quadrant that I'm not supposed to be able to see, that I have seen. So I'm feeling pretty good about things overall. I'm assuming there's not that many of you, and I'm going to offer it up because, yeah, 6. Let me find this Zoom meeting, and I'll give you guys the link. And if you want to join me in Zoom and maybe talk a bit more conversationally, that would be fine with me. Just make sure you, where is it? There's the chat. Sunlight does horrible things. And that way you can converse normally. The chat is great for preserving what's going on, and I might still add comments to it if you join up. But for now, yeah, participants 1. I'm running this show on my own. 341. I have to look because I have other events I'm responsible for starting, and I think they're after my time here. So yeah, this is our grid. So I don't really have to do anything. That's probably Friday. And I don't have my Mac with me. This is a Windows box. Yeah, so Saturday 3, I don't have to do anything until 5 p.m. So I got at least an hour and a half or so, which by that time is probably going to cloud over anyway. But glad everybody's here. Make sure you do all your likes and whatnot with YouTube. We keep all of us honest. I'm going to adjust that sun a little bit. Make sure I have my speed on lower. And I think, there we go. I want to say yesterday, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Jet, do your thing. Yesterday in this, I want to say it was the northeast quadrant. Where's Moose? There's Moose. So in this area in here, there was a sunspot that was forming that really wasn't there yet. So that will be interesting when it crops up. But in the course of 15 minutes, we saw the thing come and go, and bright and dark, and it's kind of all over the map. So it's running true to that whole solar minimum thing. So this is running true. Down arrow, move down. Although it moves the object up. Hopefully, yeah. I always recommend everybody get a solar filter because they're a whole lot of fun. I think I might adjust that focus a tad. Just looks a little off. This should be pretty sharp. So we're not getting a lot of wobble, and it's fairly windy here actually. So there, I think that's sharpening up a little bit. Yeah, for having an 8-inch telescope, they tend to act like a big kite when you get a windy day. This is kind of facing right into it, so it's not too terribly bad. But you can see the histogram here. It's like it's all big visual light, big time. I wonder if we could play with that some. SharpCap allows you to play with the histogram a bit. So if you want to look at certain portions or another, you can vary the midpoint. And sometimes that reveals details, sometimes it doesn't. The solar is all about kind of managing your balance of things. Yeah, focus is pretty decent there. Maybe one more. What did it just do? I don't know. It went out and then back in. Electronics. I think they're starting to feel the heat here. I don't know. I can try that again. That won't hurt anything. I have this nice remote control cable that I haven't had plugged in because it confuses living daylights out of things. When there we go. Yep, it's not recognized. Oh, wait a minute. Auto detection. How about COM4? Nope. USB seems to know what's going on. Yep. This is the piece that you have to plug in to get your computer control to work. So I'm just going to unplug that because that's just a useless cable at this point, and adding to a lot of extra gunk on the ground here that I'm going to trip over, no doubt. Make sure the old handset still works. Yep, it's working. Now, if I was smart, I would have rebooted with the the extension cable, and that way I wouldn't have to reach around and get up and down out of the chair all the time. But you think I was thinking about that? No. Yeah, see, the glasses are those photo gray type that change, so everything gets dark and you can't see nothing. So you can either be out of focus or in the dark. Either way, still not seeing much. And I did bring out my umbrella, but it's not helping a lot because the wind was kind of calmed down a little bit, so maybe that'll help. Certainly a cooler. Oh yeah. Hey, I can see the display again. That's pretty cool. We'll set the umbrella strap underneath the computer. That way it'll take the computer away with me. Where do we go? Zoom meeting. Still one participant. Nobody's going to take me up on the Zoom thing, huh? Okay. Nice cue ball today. Uh-oh. You mean that? Oh, you're talking about the sun. Hello, Harmony Smith. We did enjoy your comments last night on a number of the sessions we saw. Yeah, this umbrella acts like a very nice kite. But it's keeping me a lot cooler, so maybe I'll try to keep it around. Yeah, I'll try to get the controller here. Maybe slide the table a little closer so I don't have to stretch the cable as far when I'm trying to show you guys stuff. And I'll try to take a little tour of the sites here. Show you all the edges. I really don't see any irregularities that would be a sunspot. It's actually pretty good contrast brightness that we got going here on the camera. My camera is an ASI, well, ZWO, but it's the ASI 183, which has got some kind of, I think it's 16 megapixel. I bought it because after doing all the math and the calculations, it matches the resolution of the telescope. So you don't have to worry about zooming and things like that, or worrying about what is it, the binning is the thing, because for planetary stuff it works really great for matching. So if your telescope can see it, you'll get approximately 1 pixel for every bit of resolution that's on the scope. Come on, stop moving. A little bit of gear lash there. Like I said before, this is an Ioptron AZ Mount Pro, and I've had very good luck with it. It's one of the favorite mounts that I've had, and I've gotten very good results in spite of weird sunny days and things like that. But I've gotten results that are rivaling the German equatorial mounts, the equatorial mount styles, to the point where you take pictures into your local club meeting, and they all say, wow, that's a great picture, and you start rifling off the equipment list like everybody wants to do. Oops, that's the wrong direction. And then they get to the mount, and they said, that's an Alt-AZ mount, and they were really amazed. So I take a perverse joy in some of that and kind of bucking the trends. But I know that there's an end in sight for how much I'll be able to see, both here in Ypsilanti, because it's kind of a crappy view from here in light pollution city. But at some point I'll probably end up getting an equatorial mount to do better deep space pictures and whatnot. But I think for, you know, the solar or the planetary, this one, it's doing just fine. And I wouldn't mind keeping around because it's, like I mentioned before, I've got a northern view, and anytime you got that northern view, you cannot align your polar scope nearly as easily as if you had had a normal equatorial mount. So for blathering on and uselessly. It's harder to do alignment if you have polar scope. Hey, Christine, want to see the sun?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like much, but it's a big disk. There's no features on it whatsoever right now.
No.
Yeah, we were looking at the H alpha last night and or yesterday afternoon, and there's a lot of features there with prominences and things, and there was a sunspot that was forming, but it hadn't quite materialized that we'd be able to see it with these things. So,
Oh.
but yeah, it is what it is.
Okay. How long are you out here for?
I think I have to be here till around 5 because I'll probably pack in because the clouds here are gonna do in any nighttime stuff, but probably by 5. And I think the next one I do is a 6 o'clock that I have to start.
Oh, okay.
I got to check my schedule.
Check your schedule. All right. Well, I'll see you around.
Yep. Thanks for stopping. Yeah, 5 o'clock I have to start somebody. So, okay. I'll start them and let them go. The wonders of putting on a virtual, I don't know, event, festival, what have you. We found out last night it's one of the bigger ones that's used Zoom as one of the, you know, transmitters or whatever. So it's quite the operation because Zoom has got a feature that you can buy licenses and users, but you can have the user that you have, that's the only person that can host the meeting, and hosts are the only ones that can start a YouTube live stream. So basically that user that you assign the license to has to be the one to start the live stream, which is kind of a bummer because they have an alternate host feature that should work but doesn't. But we figured all that out last night, kind of on the fly. Well, they're hearing all kinds of other stuff too. Want to see the sun? It's a big white ball.
Oh, yeah.
Not very exciting right now. Solar minimum.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and the sun. That's why I got the umbrella. It's keeping the computer fan from turning on. Okay. We'll keep panning around here. That way you can see more of the sun. Not something that everybody sees all the time, so what the heck. There's one picture I got of a sunspot, which maybe I'll bring that up because it shows some of the detail that the cameras can actually get. I'm going to start a capture here, and I will go for 2 minutes, and that'll allow us. We'll let that thing go. You can see down here it starts this little gizmo, and let's see. Oh, look at that! I have somewhere. I have a solar. Weather. Well, maybe it's just those two. I thought I had a distinct solar, but maybe not. No. Yeah, this photo here actually was the one that I took, and you can see that even in the visual light, I was able to get some contrast and whatnot. It does pick that stuff up, but you can see this is highly zoomed in. The outline of the sunspots there, and you know, the dark regions, and these are basically cooler regions. And by cool, they're not cold by any sense. They're only about 5,000 degrees less than the 10,000 degrees surface temperature here. So, but that shows that even in white light, you can still see some contour, but it's hard to get in. So I'm kind of interested to see what I get off of these frames here. Where does that go? Oh, there we go. Got any questions about well, the solar viewing, regular telescope stuff, or astronomy at the beach? I don't know, any topics you want. I'm open to suggestions. And of course, you know, like the video if you're interested, or if you think this is worthwhile liking. And we have you know, comment sections on all the YouTube stuff. We'll be reading those over the coming days or weeks or whatever. And when you came into the meeting to begin with, at the right, that schedule, there's up at the top, there's a big purple button to say take the survey. And it's basically just a user impressions, it's a comment survey. If you got any suggestions, likes, dislikes, things you think we should do better, then that's the place to put them. And we're trying to encourage people to do that. And frankly, you know, look on the schedule for other stuff that's going on today, because we have events that are going to be going on all the way to midnight. They will probably change topic a little bit if it's cloudy here in southeastern Michigan, but there will be things planned, and we're all going to be busy until midnight. So yeah, I'm getting a little bit of kite action here. Notice this sun is sinking. But we're not getting the real thick clouds. They're mostly high clouds, which are a little annoying. But I haven't seen anything come by where you can see the cloud actually go by. They haven't been real thick. It takes a pretty thick cloud to blot out the sun, which I was telling people earlier. I don't know if you were tuned in at that time, but if you end up like viewing the sun like we are now, if you could see a gray splotch go across here, you say, oh, there's some kind of wispy cloud that came by. And it turns out those are pretty substantial clouds that are going by. Thin clouds, even like fair weather clouds, they do not show up on the sun. It burns right through most of that. So if that's why you get a sunburn on a cloudy day. It's actually one of the worst times to get, because it's deceptively burning you. Come in nice and I'm going to be fried tonight, I'm sure. This is a lot of sunlight. But maybe we'll see, there's other controls like, you know, image brightness and things like that that you can play with, and some of them are for display only. That's not going to do anything. These are on auto actually, but you could turn down red. You can change the colors of the sun anytime, and sometimes that can, like on planets and all that, sometimes that can review or reveal other features. We could try to turn it orange like we're expecting. The solar filter I'm using is what they call Bader film, Baader, and it's basically a film. Oh, there, that looks a little more natural. It looks like tinfoil or mylar plastic stuff, but it blocks something like 99.7 or 0.8% of the light that's going through. That looks very natural, actually. I kind of like that. And the Bader film is relatively inexpensive. If you buy a glass filter for this 8-inch size telescope, you're probably talking $150, $180. Whereas the Bader film will cost you $50 or $60 for a solar filter. And there goes the umbrella, which frankly wasn't doing a whole lot anyway. Excuse me one moment. Oh. Caught on my creepy control cable. It was all over the place. that in a safer place. Normally the control cable works. After astronomy on the beach is over with, I'm going to have to mess with something there. What do we got? Some kind of message. Somebody having a problem? Yeah, I was instrumental in setting up a lot of these. TW on Facebook. Oh. Okay. Trying to remember his name. Got a question about our Twitter account on GLAC. They're posting, about our headliners. Tonight is going to be Brother Guy Consolmagno. Is his name? Brother Guy is probably easier to remember. And he and Dan Davis, they wrote the famous astronomy book, Turn Left at Orion. And they're going to be speaking tonight. I don't know about what. I have no idea. That's where you'll have to tune in and find out. But I've listened to Brother Guy's talks in the past, and he's a very entertaining man. Worth your time checking out, and I believe that's going to be at 6 o'clock. I'm going to bump that to 3 minutes. What the heck? We'll take some solar images in nice, pretty color. Maybe it'll make a difference. Seeing a little bit of a funny haze over this edge here. I wasn't really expecting that, but a little bit of shading going on. And the wind picked up again. But, let me double check on that time for Brother Guy. Where's the mouse? There it is. Brother Guy is on, wrong tab. There we go. He is going to be on at 6 p.m. I was right. Woohoo! And they wrote the Turn Left at Orion book. And our president, Adrian Bradley, will be introducing Brother Guy and probably chattering with him for quite a bit. What others? Our own here in Ypsilanti, Norb Vance is actually going to be talking about light pollution, which, boy, I should really tune into that. I will no doubt review that video soon because it's a a primary factor around here. Hopefully Paul got up and running. He's under good hands with John. And at 5 o'clock, I gotta basically exit and I'll start up the teacher forum. So there's lots of good stuff going on here on Saturday. The Ford Club, which is most of these blue entries with Tim as their license holder, they're running their own events and they have a wealth of knowledge, great videos. They're all worthwhile to check into as well. And it should be a reminder we've managed to put this thing together since probably beginning of June or something. We started out and there was a half a dozen live telescopes and it, grew out of hand from there, I suppose. But an autographed copy, yeah, I'd love to have that. Topic, area of interest. Let's see, I'm catching up on some comments here. How long have you been interested in astronomy? What's your favorite topic in astronomy? Oh, astronomy, gosh. I think this is going on 15 years, if I think about it. It all actually started with my wife for an anniversary present. She bought me one of those, $100 telescopes that everyone warns you against. and had such fun with it that I ended up, being out on the patio, and I caught my first glimpse. Of course, you do Jupiter, but I caught my first glimpse of Saturn, and I was completely hooked. So that's definitely my my thing. Favorite topic lately. Lately, it's been I've been getting into the dark sky stuff simply because it's and maybe that's I should qualify that's the astrophotography uh, because it's basically a way in here in light polluted Ypsilanti and Metro Detroit to kind of extend the usability of my telescope because visually you look at a galaxy or something, it's really not that interesting. There's not much there to look at. It's a faint fuzzy. It looks just like a globular cluster, which looks just like a nebula when you're looking through the eyepiece. And a lot of visual guys, they get into it and they say, no, 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 that's not the case. But well, let's be objective about it. That's what it looks like. I'm trying to get the sun back for you, but I fat fingered the thing. So yeah, I guess it'd be astrophotography, but only because it gets me access to the other stuff. I have no delusions that I'm going to be producing the next Hubble photographs or Hubble compatible or comparable photographs, but with modest resources, I can do pretty good. Oh, which I think in that previous page on the website there, where is my mouse? It keeps going away. There we go. I was going to show you the photo stuff. It's all of these things were done with this 8-inch telescope that we're viewing right now. I took some really nice images of Mars. I can tell they're going to be good. Some of the Jupiter ones turn out really well. I think that's one of the better ones. But getting the cloud layers and all that, and getting the cameras and your focus just right to catch all that stuff, you never really know because when you capture it, they look like fuzzy stuff, and you don't know really what you got. So it's kind of like a Christmas present you're opening up. Like this one right here is probably a hair over processed because everything looks a little too sharp and a little too good. Some of the Saturn ones, you can see the rings and all that turn out really well. Yeah, so Jupiter and Saturn, they were out earlier, so you take more pictures of those. But, well, when Mars starts coming out, you get that one. This is my first picture of Neptune, which my telescope, you can see, it doesn't resolve things very well. My wife kidded me, is like, you've taken a picture of a blurry blue spot. Excellent. She had quite a fun time of that. And this is Uranus, which you can tell is just a tinge on the green side compared to Neptune. So I really enjoyed taking those ones because I want to take pictures of all the planets. Of course, there's Mars. Part of this spring is like I got a new camera, and once the weather broke so that you could be out here longer than an hour or two, I kind of got into taking pictures of those. But the real interest, these are all the planetary stuff. I got a separate album and I keep all the DSOs, the dark sky objects or deep sky objects, however you want to adapt. This one is a good one of the Ring Nebula, which was unprocessed. I gave it a second try and got that. With the deep sky stuff, you spend a lot of time playing around with your processing software. So you see, like this dumbbell. This was a classic example. This was done. It's almost directly overhead. You can see the spin, and I think it's M57 if I'm not mistaken. And this was stacked using Deep Sky Stacker. It's free software, but you can see is like these little star trails and stuff. It just made a complete mess of everything. Well, I was grousing about it. I played around in Photoshop and other things for a while. And then we revisited, there's a program called AstroPixel Processor. And this thing, you can see it derotated the different frames, put everything back together. And these stars, this is the same exact raw format, but different processing program. This one sorted it out. Got good picture of this with good reds and blues and stuff in here. So that's probably one of my my proudest moments there was getting that one right. I don't recall which cluster that one is. The Trifid Nebula here, which I only had 15 frames on that one, so it looks kind of bad. Globular clusters are real pretty to the eye, but they don't do as much on the film. This one is almost a prize. This is a Western Veil Nebula, which capturing that with this type of mount, the Alt-AZ mount, not an equatorial mount, in light polluted Ypsilanti, and this was used with my other camera, which is a 294, and it's cooled, the same ZWO brand, and I think that was about 45 minutes or so worth of exposures. Very carefully put together, and this is the Eagle Nebula, which this one turned out really well because you can see the column or pillars of creation in here. And again, there's no star smearing and stuff, so it just kind of speaks to the quality of the mount. And then this was the Omega Nebula, which I did a few Photoshop effects here to put these little star crosses in there. I forget what they call them in the feature, but it's a nice little artistic thing you can do. And a lot of this is just making, artistic stuff. So that's a little bit of the stuff. Does that answer your question? What is it? I forget. I think it's just a user. No, I didn't want to do that. But I do want to see the chat session. Oh, come on. I'm a Mac user. Windows is really not my favorite place to be. There we go. Ugh. There we go. Okay, on with the questions. Deep Sky Sky, very cool. If you're a beginner, if you're gonna, take a camera out, obviously the sun, if you can catch it, is an easy target because you don't have to worry about the brightness and the dimness of objects. Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, those are your next big three, because they're basically very bright. Now, the bright things do come with a drawback, and that is you can overexpose really easy, which we can actually demo fairly easily in SharpCap here, which is the software I'm using. It's free. So if we, I'm just looking at 4 milliseconds or so. If we bump that up, see that blows it out so you can't even see the edge anymore. Camera hasn't moved, but see as you back it off, you can overexpose easy. And we're talking difference between a few milliseconds. And yeah, we go down to 318 or so. You can get it fairly dark, and sometimes taking a bunch of dark pictures, which we can try this. So maybe later tonight, because it looks like it's going to be too cloudy to do much. I'm going to take another 3 minutes of this, and later tonight we'll go into that session and we'll process these and show how it's a technique called stacking. In the case of most planetary stuff, there's a program called Auto Stackert with a T on the end. It's a German thing. I have no idea, or I don't know, Netherlands. And it's a fantastic program for anything planetary. It does a wonderful. I will say that the interface is confusing at best, but once you kind of get the hang of what they want you to do, it works very well. You want to stay away from any of the processing that it does. You just want it to do the stacking, which is the important thing. And what that does is basically treat like a video. You notice I'm taking an SDR type file video. This is a video format, but it's raw. There's no compression. That's one thing if you're imaging, you want to stay away from is compression, because it means that you're going to lose pixels along the way. And those pixels that you lose might be the difference between a really clear detail that you found somewhere, maybe a sunspot, an extra pixel that clarifies everything, or kind of a blurry picture. Jupiter is worse because it has all of those cloud bands and stuff. It's crazy. But my recommendation is to start with an inexpensive camera, and ASI, the ZWO people have got some inexpensive ones for, I don't know, usually I think the first one I had was about $130 on sale, and you can still get that camera. It's the 120 MC. I would stick with color just to simplify your life, and then once you go, you get used to that, and you can take good pictures. Some of those early Jupiter pictures were taken on that 120, and they take pictures just fine. I've actually struggled with this 183 camera here because it is so picky and so fussy, and the resolution is so high. You can make all kinds of different settings and get mediocre results. To get really good results, you have to kind of fine tune it really well. But I would start, by imaging the planets, and you'll get a hang pretty quick for what works and what doesn't. You'll say, wow, that was a total dud, and you throw the whole thing out. But as you take pictures like live, those stacks are going to look blurry, and this auto stacker is kind of the first level that things will kind of come into focus. It's amazing to watch, to basically go from this is what I started with, this is what it came out. And the last step after you do auto stacker to stack the frames is to apply, there's a program called Registax that's free. And Registax has a feature. You just load the image that came out of auto stacker. You don't want to try to stack with Registax. You'll be sorry. It's I don't want to say obscene, but it's an obscure program, and it has some assumptions that I would never make. So it's kind of confusing to use stacking with that. But it has a wavelet feature that is basically a fine-tuned sharpening tool. And so it'll basically say, okay, for everything that's maybe 2 or 3 pixels wide, I'm going to do sharpening on that region. And it'll do all the sharpening. You'll find details come out because of that. And then once you do that level, you go to the next one, and maybe it'll look at the raw image and see details that were maybe 2 pixels instead of 5 or 6. And you go down the line, and they've got 6 different levels of wavelets. And once you get it to that final level, you're going in such fine detail that sometimes you can overexpose and do all kinds of horrible things. I'm going to bump up that exposure back to where it was, because we're sort of losing it. And we got some cloud cover going on too here. What happened? Oh, there it is. Yeah. That's the effects of clouds. So turn up gain, turn up exposure. It's a turn up. No, it's the sun. But those, between those free programs, you can go quite a ways without spending a whole lot of money. And you can put those on. I mean, this camera fits right in the eyepiece holder in place of it, basically. And that's where planetary is nice. When you get in the higher end DSO cameras, you have to worry about what the distance is for the back focus. You end up adding extra pieces, and optically it's a little more complicated. But if you buy a inexpensive planetary camera, which I think the 224 is probably a good all-around camera. A lot of people use that for deep space. And these are all uncooled cameras. I wouldn't bother with a cooled thing until you really get your technique down. I should probably mention I have, if you like this nitwit that you're listening to, which you must because you've listened to him for an hour and 20 minutes. I have a Facebook site, basically Orange Can Astronomy, and that's where I post most of my photos, the camera tips. I just did a review on the new finder scope that I got. Well, it's not really a scope. It's a laser finder, but it's kind of like the pro model. And that's where I primarily post stuff, real quickly. I'm going to try to turn the gain down here a little bit. I think our sun is back. But yeah, that was strange. But that's a good resource. And frankly, if you have an area astronomy club, join up, because everybody in there has been through being a beginner and kind of climbing up the ladder, and they love to help people out, just like I'm blathering on for 20 minutes or whatever about cameras and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Love the nice guy. Keeps saying I should buy a telescope. No camera other than an old digital. The old digital, if it's a DLSR, you might actually do pretty good. And frankly, any telescope you can get is going to show you the bright planets pretty easily. You won't have to worry about that. Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, you'll be able to see those. Mars maybe a little bit less so, but this year is like a great year because it's in opposition. It basically means it's facing you right up front and directly. So if you get, otherwise you get, half moon views or it's dim or whatever. As far as the telescope, the best advice I've ever gotten is the best telescope for you is a telescope you use. So it can't be super complicated. The simpler the better when you're getting started. And I guarantee this won't be the last telescope you'll ever buy if you get hooked in the hobby. That's one of those kind of givens that everybody's like, okay, that's the dirty little secret. It's like if you get hooked, then you're going to be on the line for more equipment. There is kind of a never-ending equipment cycle you can sometimes go through there. But you don't have to turn up that gain quite as far. This is my, oh gosh. Maybe I should, this is, let's see. Well, I started out with the department store. I upgraded to an 8-inch Dobsonian mount, which is a fully manual mount. You just tug it around and place it wherever you like. I was gifted a 12-inch. Actually, I got a 4-inch Celestron Nexstar as the next telescope, which is it's very compact. I still miss it. I sold it, and a gifted 12-inch Meade, which it sounds a spectacular telescope, but frankly, it was so heavy and so bulky and was so complicated to use that I barely used it. And that was where the best telescope is the one you use. That came into being. And right now, you can get some relatively inexpensive. I would say a couple $100, to maybe $300. You can get yourself. I want to say, is it like 115 or 102? They're small Newtonian telescopes, and they come on basically a tabletop mount even. So you find yourself a picnic table or a folding card table, put it up, and you can slew around and view. And that's a way to kind of get yourself acclimated to the night skies and get your basic techniques down. Oh, thank you, Swish Dog. Don't know if that's a he or she. Oh, Swish Dog is a Liz. Okay. Well, in any case, get yourself any telescope. That'll get your basic skills going. If you want to get into the photography thing, it might be, that you get into like that 4-inch Nexstar. Those are excellent. I actually recommend as a starter scope, if you want to go full go-to, computerized, the Celestron makes a Nexstar 6, which I believe is either $700 or $800. I don't recall. But that's the one I usually recommend as a first scope because it's got enough aperture where you'll be able to pick out various objects that you want to see. Good. Looking at the sun if you want to take a look. Okay. Neighbors walking dogs. And that Nexstar SE is a go-to scope. The optics in it are top-notch. Celestron builds very good equipment. The quality is good, and it'll grow with you. That'll be enough to pull in galaxies, nebulas, things like that. If you're doing photography, you'll see faint fuzzies like the 8-inch will. You have to get into like 12 or 16-inch telescopes before you start to make any detail out in galaxies and nebulas and things like that. So that's one of the reasons that this photography thing, it works out pretty well. And Windows did what it always does. I hate that. I'm trying to get back to here to bump that up because we're getting a little bit of too much. Getting a little bit of cloud. And I probably should move that up or down. Let's look at the bottom again. It looks like my focus is getting out a little bit too, which that sort of makes sense because as the sun moves, the distance is changing a little bit. Am I going the right direction? I don't think so. Now, this is where the like cloudiness, or if it's a humid day, they call that seeing. That's the the term for, you know, this condition, which is where you'll get waviness or it'll be hard to focus. I've spent hours trying to, you know, focus things in bad seeing conditions. So that's one of those things where if you got a bad day, sometimes it's not even worth going out. There's a really great site called Astrospheric, which I'll just bring it up real quick. Astrospheric, there we go. Which is an easy way for me to get a URL. What the heck did the focuser just do? And we'll put this in our chat session. And what this is doing, I'll just give you a quick little tour of it. What this is showing us, and I have my browser very small. Don't get in the way, Zoom. So basically, this is a satellite view. This is about where we're at. And it's showing you the current conditions here. And so like this is the cloud cover, which is pretty much nil, but then the seeing, you notice how it kind of gets gray and there it turns to blue. Down here, they kind of give you an idea of what this all means. So there's cloud cover, which everybody understands pretty well. Transparency, which is kind of like how much fog, haze, humidity, that kind of thing. Right now we have a smoke problem with the wildfire smoke that's from California. And then seeing is kind of like how steady the skies are. And I might, yeah, the seeing is how steady everything is. Last night, gorgeous night, relatively clear. We were in a low spot in the smoke, but the seeing was kind of bad. So you can tell if seeing is good or bad by looking at a star. If the star is twinkly, that means the seeing is probably pretty bad because the atmosphere is bending the light as it's going by. It's like looking through looking at a rock in the bottom of a stream as the water's going by. You get all wavy and stuff. And I was going to show you the cloud cover here, which I think they put in map layers. They keep, there we go, map layer. And we can look at the smoke map. And so same map, and you can see Michigan right here. We got a big purple blotch over us with more to come. It's going to get worse. So right now, that's why our transparency is not so great, is mostly because of that. And of course, you know, cloud cover, which right now is minimal, but you see it's mostly the wispy stuff. Later tonight, some of this is going to be moving in, and we just have no idea. But yeah, tonight, so like by dark is, they have the darkness here. So sunlight is 19, that's 7:24. So that's the last clear sky, and after dark, it just gets bad. So anything with this like teal and all that are just not worth going out, setting up yourself. Not to mention that the seeing and transparency here are very poor. And you can check this out by just clicking on this spot, and down below here, they'll tell you poor and below average. And cloud cover of about 30%. So yeah, and they give you a simulated thing here. So yeah, there's a big cloud bank coming in tonight, which is probably going to nix most of the live astronomy at the beach, except for Brian Autumn's New Mexico thing. He's going to be, his telescope is actually located in New Mexico. Oh yeah. His telescope's in New Mexico, and the mechanicals that he has are simply amazing. You would not believe the setup that he's got. I mean, my slewing and all that. I don't know if you're watching my video or not. It goes slowly by, and it does okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have to have split second. But Brian's is literally, it's like, okay, I want to slew over to Jupiter here. It'll go, and it's there. It's amazing. And that's useful because his drive is actually fast enough. It's a plane wave mount. That mount is fast enough and accurate enough that he doesn't have to align, and he can track the space station and other satellites without any modifications. Huh. A raccoon just came out of the bottom of somebody's pickup truck. How neat. Northern Canada fires affecting. Do you want to see that smoke map again? We can look at that. Look at that. That's the smoke map once more time, and you can get an idea of how bad it's going to get as you step by. So I can look at it for until Sunday and all that. But you see, we got clear skies on the way because some of those, I guess the fires are going out, would be my guess. So it's an interesting map. Yeah, so next week will be fine. Did they say when that was? Monday. I'll say probably Monday or Tuesday. It'll be in good shape. Yeah, probably Tuesday. But now we can look at what Tuesday is going to do over here, and we'll see Tuesday is going to be mostly cloudy. Oh well. Anyway, that's astroperic. I would recommend going to that. Northern California's probably fires affecting. Yeah. To answer the question, actually, the fires are affecting us here in Michigan because the jet stream. Do you see the raccoon over there? Okay, he's. Oh, so maybe you were driving him this way. Yeah, we just had a raccoon cross the street. In the back is we live. It's a big lake area, and we get lots of critters. Okay, where'd the sun go? It's not behind any clouds. Let's bump up that thing again. Oh, rookie mistake. Yeah, it's still there. That's what happens with the clouds. And look at that. SharpCap has this annoying feature where it will put things in raw format in 8-bit, not 16, which means you lose a lot of color. Probably not a big deal for the sun here, but it causes problems because 8-bit color on, but it gives you only 256 different colors that you have. And if you're doing say a deep space object where there are subtle shades of this and that, it can cause havoc. So yeah, 16-bit is where you want. I'm going to redo that last capture simply because I really hate 8-bit. It makes a mess of your finals. Not that I'm trying to collect images or anything, but let me check if anything is buzzed. Oh, good. Looks like things are going well in the other things. We have a messenger session that we're running, and I think it's the teaching astronomy. One of our board members is helping out with that presentation. So he's like, wow, I forgot how much I like working in this stuff in education. So that's what this astronomy in the beach is so much fun on the beach. And frankly, if you think this stuff is cool, next year, if it's, if we can do an in-person, you really have to come out to it because we've got, last year I was there and I got hooked. I took my telescope out there. I was out there showing people things for 5 hours until my battery went dead in the mount itself. And we never had fewer than 30 people in line to watch the views on the telescope. And we had over 70 telescopes set up that evening I went, which I think was a Friday actually, because I couldn't go Saturday. But it's a 2-day event. They normally have got a huge field of telescopes, which the current board, we're pushing the telescopes pretty hard because that's what people get the most enjoy. That's where we get all the positive comments and things. This online thing we did because of the COVID. There's no two ways about it. It's just not a nice situation. Bump that up a little bit. But this is what you can do instead of going out to a beach and catching a deadly disease. We thought it would be an okay option. Okay, now we're getting some wind. You can see some of the images are shaking, even though they're only taken for a few milliseconds. This wave in here is artificial because the gain's up kind of high. We turned that off. It's right now we got some low clouds that are coming through. Man, yeah, they're getting thicker because it takes more to pump that out. And this is what I like about the digital. It's like, okay, visually, I got a crap view. There's nothing to look at. It's just a bright spot in a cloud. But with this thing, I can pick out there a cloud you just saw it go through. That was pretty cool. But with a setup like this, you can cut through the clouds for solar really easily. Oh yeah, I was doing that during that recording. That'll be fun. But again, bump up the exposure a little bit. You can do things, and this is the thing, if you have higher gain, your exposure is going to be very sensitive. So if you can turn it down enough and expose it for longer periods of time, you'll get technically a better quality picture overall. But there's always a balance to be gained. Because sometimes, like, I want to gain, you can think of it as sensitivity. It's like I want it to be more sensitive, but I want to expose it, a set amount of time. And sometimes, like here, I got low gain. I just have to pump up the gain because I don't want to expose it for that long a time. Because every little movement, like if you're doing a Jupiter, for instance, Jupiter, you can only image for a maximum, absolute maximum of about 3 minutes, because the rotation of Jupiter is fast enough where you'll pick it up on your telescope and it'll start to smear your images. It's just amazing when you see that happening. And so usually Jupiter, I image about 2 minutes. It tends to be around 50 milliseconds. But if there's a little more gain to pick up stuff, then I have to do it. But I try to keep the gain to a minimum. That's a really thick cloud. Kind of struggling here. But here is like, okay, let's make it sensitive. What did it do? It's not behind a cloud. Come on. Yeah, see, now we're fighting with it where you get lots of this excess because we're doing high exposure, high gain. That's through a thicker cloud, obviously. I still see a bright spot there, but it's starting to get shady here. But if you look at the background in my my photo, you'll see that. Anything else? Northern California. Okay. Anything else about telescopes? You should check out telescope.com. And it might not be HTTP. It might be, this is Orion telescopes. And they're a reputable dealer. They sell their own branding of telescopes and whatnot, but they have stuff and helpful buying guides to help you get the scope that's going to be right for your level, whether it be beginner or an intermediate. You need some accessories. They got people that know all about that stuff. I bought some things from them. I find that like Explore Scientific is good. B&H Photo, I bought some stuff from them, and they sometimes have very, very good prices on stuff. And a lot of times, if it's over 50 bucks, these places will ship it to you for free. Oh, there goes our image again. Yeah, it's definitely getting worse. Yeah, pretty soon you get to a point where it's like no amount of gain or exposure is going to beat the cloud. I think we're getting close to that point. What do you think? Yeah, it's 4:40. I'm probably going to have to sign off here anyway to start up another session. But if you got any other questions, go to that Facebook Orange Can Astronomy page, or just email me directly. This is my personal email, not my work email, so you don't have to worry about getting in work. But that will get you to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions I can. And I mean, people mentored me along the way. I've got a couple of dear friends that I've never met in person, but I would give them the shirt off my back if they needed it, and they've been terrific people. Now, of course, the cloud's cleared, and look what we got is a real soupy mess. Yeah, let's turn down gain, turn down this. Oh, maybe not that far. Still got some cloud cover. But you can kind of get, this is what you'll get by playing with that cheaper camera, is that by going with a dedicated Astro camera, which actually I can show you. I have all my stuff here. Clunkety clunkety clunk. Yeah, I know. I'm going to unshare my screen for a second so y'all can see the camera. Where is that? That's up here. Let's stop that share and just show you. This is the, there we go. This is the ASI 120 MC, and it's just it looks like a red hockey puck. It comes with this is a fisheye lens, and you can screw that out. So like during the, oops, that piece isn't supposed to come out. Anyway, yeah, there's a piece here I got to use a screwdriver or tool to get out. But you see there's a little fisheye lens. Let's take the cover off. And that will show you like an all sky view. And I've taken time-lapse photography, like one with SharpCap you can do when you start a capture. Anyway, yeah, let me get back to screen sharing and I will show you that. And it's a real cool thing to do. No, stupid. Share screen. Yeah, that'll do. So when you go to do a start capture in here, you can say any length. You can do single frames, number of frames, time lapse, and all that. But here, if you want to do a sequence of captures, you can do say every 5. This one is set to every 5 minutes. And so you can do time lapse. I bet the last time I used this, I captured the sky in winter up north, and it was near the Upper Peninsula. Bad map, but basically at the very tip here, where it's very dark, and I watched the Big Dipper basically come up and rise to mid sky. But I took a picture every 5 minutes, and I let it go all night. So I just set up the computer. I had a cable running out a window. We, toweled the window shut to keep everything in place. But that kept that going, and I ended up with a marvelous video. It was kind of dim. This camera isn't the best in the world, but this thing is, well, you can't even buy this one. They have a version 2 of this, but you can buy this for about 150 bucks. So for a first camera, I learned a ton about doing digital, astrophotography with it. Yeah, it looks like it got scraped along the way too. A little bit of dirt here and there, wear and tear. They're very tough. It's like a little chunk of aluminum. The sensor's in the middle here, and it was just a tremendously educational little thing. So we'll put that back. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to let you guys go. It has been a pleasure. Like I say, you got lots of resources to look into here. Oh, let's control that. Where's my other window? There it is. Any other questions? Yep, and I thank everybody for coming out. It was a lot of fun. I think we're going to be doing processing tonight. The cloud cover is just kind of crazy. Even with this light cloud cover, nothing's going to happen. So with that, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate you signing in. Hopefully you got something out of it. I haven't really looked at how many people are here. 7. Make sure you hit the likes, leave any comments you want. I gave you my email, so if you got any questions you didn't think of, feel free to email. I'm an IT person, so I live on email all day. And with that, I think we're going to end our stream, and I will say goodbye. I'm going to let that finish. Where's Zoom? And we'll stop the share, and goodbye, and end our meeting.